Yo, DirectingPete here, guys. I am so glad to have you back for another great video. Now, this video is a lot different than the other videos I've done where we're going over Fortnite tutorials in creative. The reason I wanted to break away from that for just a moment, I wanted to go over with you guys some amazing new progress that Apple has made on their graphics performance in their new laptop lineup. And I want to talk about how this is going to affect gaming going forward. Now, as you guys know, Epic Games and Apple are fighting right now in the courts. And so Epic Games has stopped producing Fortnite on Mac computers and on iOS devices. However, you can still download the older version of Fortnite. So it's Chapter 2, Season 3 on the Mac computers, but you can still play. And what I want to go over today is show you a comparison between my brand new MacBook Air M1, which really is going to show you the amazing graphics performance leaps that we've made in just 1 year, guys. I'm talking 3 times the graphics performance, maybe even more than that when you compare it to my 2018 MacBook Pro. That's correct. This is a Pro. This is an Air. This Air destroys this 2018 Pro. I mean, guys, it's not even close. Guys, if you could like and subscribe to my channel, you have no idea how much that would mean to me. Just hit that like if you feel like the content I am providing is awesome. Guys, I'm also going to link you to my new YouTube channel. The video link is right there on the top right. If you are into technology and gaming, go ahead and click that link right there, and I will deep dive with you in videos like this one. Give it a subscribe and help me out. Thank you guys so much. The reason I'm even making this video is I think it is very important for us to see where gaming is going. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, Apple really has a chance here to be a competitor to PC. And I know, you guys are saying that's not possible. Mac sucks for gaming. It's never going to happen. And I'm here to tell you it absolutely is. That doesn't mean it's going to happen 6 months from now. It doesn't mean it's going to happen even a year from now, but I honestly think even a year from now, they're going to be in a good spot where you're going to start to go, oh, maybe I can get a Mac to do everything I love on and then also game on it. What a concept, right? So what I want to do is break down for you guys right now the gaming performance on this new MacBook Air. Yes, guys, this is an Air versus a MacBook Pro 2018. This MacBook Air, you can get this machine for $899 if you are a student, $999 if you're not. And I'm going to show you how incredible Fortnite plays on a laptop with no fan. Guys, you heard me right. This laptop has 0 fan in it, which is mind-boggling if you think about it, because when you play on these PCs with these big graphics cards like the 3080 and all of these cards, they each have fans. The computer has 3 fans. The thing's cooling like crazy. You hear the fans blowing all the time, just going crazy and high-pitched and everything else. This doesn't have a single fan in it. It's really an iPad on steroids, if you think about it, in a Mac shell. Don't forget, too, Fortnite was optimized for the 2018 MacBook Pro. It was designed for it. Apple uses a new architecture. It's actually something called Apple Silicon. They're no longer using Intel PC chips, which is crazy. So Apple's first processor out of the gate is over 3 times the performance of even the newest MacBook Air and MacBook Pro of early 2020. That's right, guys, early 2020. It's 2.5 to 3.5 times faster in performance. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you a side-by-side comparison with Fortnite running on my 2018 MacBook Pro and my 2020 MacBook Air. Now, on my MacBook Air, I did go ahead and spec it out a little bit higher. I went with 16 gigs of RAM, which matches this machine here on the left. I also went ahead and upgraded the graphics from a 7-core GPU M1 to an 8-core GPU, which cost, I believe, another $200 difference. Though, from other testing I've seen online, it's minuscule. If you're stuck at that $999 mark and that's all you can spend on this machine, this is still a machine that can play games. It can play them 3 times better than the MacBook Air that came out in early 2020 for the same price. The machine doesn't even get that hot. Even when I was playing Fortnite for a good 30, 40 minutes, it got warm. But nothing like these other MacBooks where the fan's going crazy in my 2018 model. And it's just almost too hot to touch. So I'm loading into Fortnite on my MacBook Air. This is the new MacBook Air, and I just set everything to auto set for this first example. So I wanted to show you what Fortnite or what Epic Games thought was the best settings. Now, I'm not 100% sure it knows what the best settings are just because this is a simulated task right now. So what does that mean? That means that Epic never wrote Fortnite for these new computers. These chips, as I mentioned, are brand new from Apple. They're not Intel chips. They're not AMD chips that use x86. Apple's chips are ARM-based chips, which you'll see in mobile processors. So this version of Fortnite was never really made for this computer, which is still astounding if you think about it, that this game is playing so smoothly. We're going to look here at the results. Now, these are the settings that Epic had chosen, and you'll see there at the top right, we're getting about 40 to 45 frames a second. Now, granted, we have a lot of things set to high right now. Most everything in the settings are set to high when you hit auto set, and the graphics look beautiful for a MacBook Air anyway. If you just look at how stunning it is, ignore the horrible frames per second, which have gone up to about 50 at this point. What I want to do is see if this MacBook Air can perform anything like the Xbox. So we're trying to compare this to an Xbox One S or a PlayStation 4 Pro. I want to see if we can get to those graphic levels, and let's see if we can do it. Just so you guys are aware, I am using a game capture device, an HD60S, to capture this to an iMac. That way, the computer isn't having any degradation to quality for this playback example. Now, when I was back in the lobby, I went into settings and I changed the effects and textures down to low. I did that before we entered, so you'll see here, I have everything set to low this time. For whatever reason, guys, it just does not like having the frames per second set to unlimited. So I've set everything to low. This MacBook Air M1 is basically a 60 frames per second console. But what we can do if we commit the 60 frames per second, we can probably up some of the other graphics just a little bit, anti-aliasing those textures, everything. They can go to medium. And you'll notice here we have that beautiful solid 60 frames a second. It's pretty incredible. There's no fan in this laptop. I know I've said this multiple times, but that's pretty insane. Just seeing how a graphics performance can be on a $1,000 machine or updated or upgraded a little bit, but this was $1,500 all spec'd out. This 2018 MacBook Pro was $1,500 all spec'd out. You're really like not even 2 years later, 3 times the graphics performance. And let me show you. I don't want to just say these things to you. I want to show you. All right, so now we're on my 2018 MacBook Pro, and we're going to go ahead and load into a game of Fortnite here. Now, the loading times do take a little longer. Guys, no joke, I thought the game froze. I realized right away, if you use the auto settings on the 2018 MacBook Pro, you will be sitting in a loading screen for nearly 2.5 minutes. One of the circles had already started closing by the time I loaded in. I had almost fully dropped to the ground by the time I fully loaded in. And you're seeing here, I'm still waiting on the loading screen. Oh, and there we go, guys. The first circle was already called by the time I loaded in. That was so bad that what I'm going to do is change these settings to all the lowest settings possible. I'm going to go to low to everything. Turn off motion blur even. I'm going to turn off everything here. 50% 3D resolution for now. We'll keep it at that 60 frames per second. Fine. Let's just see where it goes. Now, the load-in time is a little bit longer, even at the lowest settings in the MacBook Air M1. It was about double the loading time with the lowest settings applied. I'm at least in the game before the bus takes off, which is pretty shocking. We're going to go ahead and play with these settings because I'm ranging right around the 30 frames per second mark. I would say we're getting right around 30. I'm going to commit the 30 frames per second. There's not much more I can do here. Maybe go down to 40 3D resolution. You're going to see how blurry this game gets. I'm going to be honest, it's not even solid though. It's not smooth like butter. I'm still hitching. I just can't explain to you what a horrible experience this is. Even if this was the 2020 Intel version of the MacBook Pro, it would still play just like this because the gains between the 2018 MacBook Pro and the 2020 were marginal. Disappointing to say the least. Like we talked about just a moment ago, the frame rate, I could barely get to 30, and that was bringing the full 3D resolution down to 40%. I could keep the resolution on this at 100% and still get 60 frames solid. That's a solid 60 frames per second locked in. So Apple has something called Rosetta 2 in these computers, in these new computers. It translates x86. x86 is a very technical term for saying basically an Intel processor, an AMD processor. Now, Apple chips are ARM processors. ARM processors are normally found in mobile phones. This is a mobile chip that is performing 3 times better than an Intel chip, but you're still seeing huge performance gains. Huge performance gains. And that's before apps are even written for this. Now, if Fortnite came back and Epic Games said, we can finally bring Fortnite back, and they optimize for this computer, I can guarantee you could probably get a good solid 80 frames in this, stutter free, and be good. Maybe even more. I don't want to overhype it, but that's in a laptop. That it is an Apple laptop that is super thin that could fit inside a manila envelope. And the reason I did this video wasn't to say that this is going to be my next gaming machine. It isn't. My Xbox One X, yes, it's not the Series X, but it's, if you saw the Fortnite update for the Series X compared to the One X, not a big enough reason for me to upgrade right now. I'm going to stick to my Xbox One X. I was going to build a PC, but guys, I'm holding out. I'm actually going to hold out now because the future of gaming on a Mac is not far off. I'm really excited to see what they do with their Pro machines. And when I say Pro machine, I'm talking about the iMac Pro and the Mac Pro. If they can pull off the performance gains that they pulled off on this MacBook Air in a bigger machine, which I know they can, we may have a game changer here, guys. And it may blow PC out of the water. It may even blow the 3080 out of the water, or at least match the 3080. Gosh, can we just pray that Epic Games and Apple figure it out? Because the future between the two companies could be insane. I just don't want to move to PC, guys. I'm invested in the Apple ecosystem. Everything I own is Apple, and I just don't want a PC, especially when I really, deep down in my heart, think that Mac is going to give PC a run for their money in 2021. Come back to this video in a year from now and see if I'm right. I could be right, I could be wrong. Come back and visit this video in a year and tell me I'm wrong. Now, we may not get the 3080 levels, but we'll get certainly frickin' close. And that's what I'm hopeful for. Thank you guys so much for watching this video today. I will be back with more tutorials soon, but I really wanted to show off this new MacBook Air and all the amazing features for just $899 if you're a student. Insane. All right, guys, until next time, take care.